I kept seeing this white streak. It was pretty long. It was pretty high off the ground, floating in the air. Sometimes I seen it in the kitchen, in the living room. I've seen it in my bedroom before. Sometimes, usually, it always floated from the bedroom into the bathroom, or it floated from the bedroom into the kitchen. I seen it for a few weeks before I came out and told my old man about it. And he called me at work a couple of days later after I'd explained, what the white streak looked like, and I told him how long it was and how big it looked and everything. Well, he called me at work freaking out because he watched this white streak come out of the bedroom, float through the living room into the kitchen. And at first he thought it was the dog, and he looked and seen the dog was sitting beside him. So he then knew that what he was looking at was something paranormal, whatever you want to call it. It was definitely unusual. Well, weeks go by, and my kids are like, yeah, I keep seeing this white strip floating around, and I always see it in your room. And speaking of, my kids are terrified of my room. They don't like going in there because they see things, they've heard things. They're in my room, so they're beyond terrified. They do not go in my room whatsoever. I can ask them to go get something for me, and they refuse. A few days later after this, I go to bed, and I feel something in the corner of my bed. Bam! Woke up. One of the craziest things I've ever seen was this man on all fours. He was on his hands and knees. He had on white pants and a white shirt. And he was actually a kind of thick man. Not fat, but like kind of muscular. Well, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm dreaming. This is what this is. It's a dream. I'm just dreaming. I'm seeing stuff. This is not real. At the same time, he's crawling towards my bathroom. This time, I kept my dog locked up in his pen. And I knew if he was going to my bathroom, as soon as he got to my bathroom, my dog was going to go ballistic. Well, he kept crawling, and the more he crawled towards my bathroom, the more his head was turning backwards towards me. And by the time he got to my bathroom door, he was standing beside a doll that's about 3.5 to 4 foot tall. She looks really real. She's a very pretty doll. Well, as he goes to turn his head all the way around to look at me, he smiles, and his smile goes all the way up to his eyes. And when he smiled, his forehead deformed, and it looked like he had horns trying to come out of his skin. And at the same time, the doll looked straight over at me, and she smiled at the same time. And that really freaked me out. But I kept calm because I knew in my mind I was dreaming. Well, he gets to the bathroom door, and as soon as he got to the bathroom, my dog went crazy. So I knew right then and there that what I was seeing was real. There was nothing fake about it. There was no misunderstanding, nothing. My dog was seeing what I was seeing. Okay, because my dog was going off, my old man wakes up and he's like, what is going on? Okay, well, I'm in shock by this point, so I didn't know what to tell him, what to say. And I go to tell him in a mumbling kind of voice, because after I get really, really scared, I mumble when I'm trying to speak. So I calmed down and I was able to tell him what happened. Well, it was a few nights later, my old man goes to lay down beside me in the bed. And keep in mind, my dog is still locked up in the pen, because we had been keeping him in the pen at night because we were trying to train him, keep him from using the bathroom all over the house. Well, anyways, to get back to the story, I'm laying there. He goes to turn the lights off, and he turns over and puts his arm around me. Right beside me, on my side of the bed, I feel boom, boom. And it was the craziest dog growl I ever heard in my life. It was like vibrations were going through the air. I could feel the vibrations off this dog. It scared him so bad, he come flying up off the bed, flipped the light on. He was like, what the blank is that? Sorry, I'm not cussing on here. He said, what the blank is that? And I was like, you tell me what you heard before I tell you what I heard. And he told me exactly what I heard. Well, I told him before we went to bed. I had to be at work at 7 that morning. I said, do not mention this to the kids or around the kids, because they're going to get really upset. So I go to work and I come home, and the next thing I know, my son's coming up to me and he's crying and he's apologizing to me, telling me how sorry he is. And I'm like, why are you sorry, son? And he said, Mom, he's like, I got scared. I heard the dog growl and I knew it was not Otis. I know it was not the dog. He said, and I wanted to come help you because, Mom, I thought it was after you. He said, but I was too scared, I couldn't move. And I got mad at Brian and I jumped his bottom. Brian is my fiance, and I asked him why did he go off and speak this to my son when we had already talked about not talking about it. Well, come to find out, my son had heard it from the other side of the house. This is how loud it was. And my son was terrified because I could see the fear in his eyes. I did comfort him and let him know that it was okay. My kids are aware that it is a me thing. It's not a them thing. But there's a whole lot more I got to say. But I'm going to end this story here. I'm going to let my kids one day get on here and speak about the experiences that they went through with me. And I'm going to let them speak freely. Because children do have a mind of their own and a wild imagination. I can still say I'm going to be 32 this year and I have a wild imagination. But I'm here to tell you, demons are real. They're real. They exist. And if there's demons and if there's ghosts, then why would there not be a God? And I just want to leave you with that note. Think about it.